wait and hope that these initial pointers or initial hints of this conflict ending do end positively? We don't know that for sure, and that perhaps that uncertainty is reflecting in how markets are responding right now. The Dow up about 220 points, a little over 0.5%. The Nasdaq also closer to a percentage up in the green, as is the S&P 500. Peter Cardillo is joining us now for more, the Chief Marketing Economist at Spartan Capital Securities. Peter, great to have you on the show. Are you sharing the optimism that at least European markets showed today from what is coming out right now?
I'm a little skeptical about this because I think maybe the Russians are deciding to decelerate a bit in the war action in Kyiv and other cities, only because of the fact that the Ukrainians basically have stopped them. So I'm hoping that there will be a peace deal, and eventually there will be. But the markets reacting the way they are reacting right now, I think might be a little bit premature. And the markets that I'm addressing, obviously, is the decline in oil prices, in gold prices, and even the US dollar. So I think that they may be a little bit ahead of themselves. And I say this only because of the fact that Putin just last week said that the war would probably not end till May the 9th. And here we are, March the 29th, and the markets are all excited about progress that's being made. Now, let's understand each other. I'm not saying that there was no progress. Obviously, there is progress. But I think the markets might be a little bit overreacting. I don't think we've seen the real military force of Putin at work. And so, therefore, I'm somewhat skeptical.
So Peter, what is the concern about? That they won't really withdraw? Or there won't really be a talk between Zelensky and Putin? What are the real concerns? Because, Ukraine seems to be making it clear that it's okay to not join a military grouping, and NATO is a military grouping. Once that bone of contention is out of the way, do you expect things to go on much further?
Yeah. I think that's the key. But what I'm puzzled here is Zelensky is saying that okay, we don't need to join NATO, but he's also saying he wants to join the EU. Now, obviously, they're two different things. But by joining the EU, after this experience, we could say the biggest and the greatest war post World War II in Europe, things have changed. We've seen Germany accelerate its military force and other countries within the EU. So where I remain somewhat skeptical is why would Russia say, okay, you can join the EU, when once you become a partner of the EU, to a certain respect, you're basically becoming a partner of their military forces. And if their military forces are increasing, wouldn't that be somewhat the same as maybe NATO?
So obviously there is a lot to do before there's a clear truce on the table. The top leaders have to meet, those I's have to be dotted, those T's have to be crossed. But do you see all of the factors that have led to the upheaval in global markets, whether it's equity or crude or other commodities, easing now? The question simply is, will the sanctions on Russia also then roll back? Because it was those concerns of shortages of Russian crude, etc., which were having these markets spike. Does that also now roll back?
Well, that would I'm not sure if the United States is ready to buy this. I'm not sure that the United States and the EU will roll back sanctions immediately. I'm not sure of that. And so, why then would Putin all of a sudden begin to talk about a truce? Now, I'm not saying that we're not going to get something out of this. Obviously, we will. Maybe an exit of the people. A corridor to let the people go out without being endangered. Absolutely. I think that's probably going to happen. But a total retreat of this, in my opinion, would be a total defeat for Putin. And I just don't see that happening.
So a lot of distance to cover before we can truly call this a breakthrough moment or the beginning of the end of this conflict, but definitely some positive glimmer in a more solid way than we've seen many days from now and over the last 4 weeks of negotiations. Thank you so much, Peter Cardillo, for joining us on this conversation, and a bit of that optimism being seen in US markets as well.